to our first Halloween hack video. If you haven't checked out the umbrella skirt tutorial, I'm gonna go ahead and link that in the description because you're gonna need to see that before the hacks I'm about to show you. The previous video has a code to get the skirt for 50% off. This video is all about modifications, tips, and tricks on different ways that you can create the G&G umbrella skirt. It is such a fun pattern for Halloween. Joann's has a ton of cute Halloween prints out right now. So go get your pattern, your fabric, and let's get started. The first hack I'm going to show you is how to add pockets because every skirt and dress needs pockets. It's really simple and you can use it with pretty much any dress or skirt pattern. Okay, so for pockets, we're going to cut out 4 pocket pieces. I just used the pocket piece from the soda pattern that I have. You honestly can just use whatever pattern piece you want. Just make sure that you have 2 sets of mirrored pieces. You can even just like trace your hand around, just trace around it. Make sure there's like about a 6-inch straight edge over there. There's all different patterns that have pockets that you can steal those from. The drama dress has a pocket piece. I think the December dress that has a pocket piece. So whatever pocket you choose to use, just make sure you cut 4, 2 mirrored. And then you're going to sew 6 pairs together, like 6 of the bottom piece, 6 of the top piece, so that 6 are together. This will be your front, or act as your front of your skirt. And you're going to take one of your pocket pieces and lay it right sides together with the skirt on one side. And you're going to do the same thing at the other end of the 6-panel piece. And you're going to place it, I probably would do about 3 inches from the top of here down. This is a high-waisted skirt, or most testers wore it high-waisted. So I like to keep my pockets a little higher because when you're just adding pockets, people tend to put the pockets too low in most cases. So I would go 3 inches, maybe 4. It's up to you. You can try it and maybe put it around your waist, like baste it into place, put this around your waist and make sure this is the height that you want your pockets at. So make sure that you mark it 3 inches from the top or whatever you're doing. And then you're going to sew along this straight edge of the pocket. And you're going to do the same thing on the other side of your 6-panel piece. Okay, so now that you have your 6-panel piece as the front, you're going to make 2 back pieces using 3 panels each. And since this is too large for me to lay out, I'm going to throw in some illustrations after this portion of the video so you can see it as you're supposed to do it. But you take your 3-panel piece on one side of, like, this would be your front over here, and you'll lay 3 sewn panels together next to it. And you're going to do the same thing with your pocket pieces. You're going to lay it 3 inches from the top and sew along here. So now I'm going to throw in some illustrations to show what I'm talking about, full view, so you can see. Also, whenever you go to sew this panel, these 3 panels to the 6-panel piece, you'll just open this up and lay everything right sides together and sew around the pockets instead of just sewing one straight line all the way down. So here it is, explained way better than I can do right now. Okay, the next modification I'm going to show you is a faux petty skirt tutorial. So just in case you wanted to add a little bit more fullness to your skirt, but you don't have a full petty skirt on hand, this modification just uses a little bit more fabric and a little bit of tulle. I got this 6-inch wide tulle on Amazon. I'm not exactly sure how many yards come in it, but it's a huge roll. I'll go ahead and link the tulle in the description. Any fabric, any color tulle will work. Okay, to start with the faux petty, we are going to cut two rectangular pieces like this to get the measurements for this rectangle. The length will be whatever length your skirt is. It's drafted for a 24-inch finished, so it's 25 inches unhemmed. So we are going to cut ours 24 inches, so it'll be 24 inches unhemmed. If you shortened or lengthened, you will adjust that measurement, whatever it is. You just want to make sure that the petty ends up 1 inch shorter than your skirt. And then for the width, we're going to make sure that the width is twice as wide as your waistband piece. So take one of your waistband pieces and cut this piece twice as wide. So you'll end up with this rectangle, and then you'll cut two. So now take one of your petty pieces and cut it straight up in half. Now lay your uncut piece right sides up, and then you're going to take the two cut pieces and lay it right sides together with the uncut piece like this, and we're going to sew down these two edges right here. These two cut pieces will be the back pieces of the petty, and the uncut piece is the front. Make sure when you're finished sewing that you finish your seam and that you also press the seam all the way up the petty skirt. Okay, so now we are going to hem the petty along the bottom of the skirt. And to do that, we're just going to fold up a 1/2 inch, fold it another 1/2 inch so that there's a 1 inch hem allowance. Pin it all the way along the bottom and sew it 1/8 of an inch away from this top fold. Okay, so now that our petty is hemmed, I'm going to go ahead and press that hem seam too. And then we're going to mark 6 inches from the bottom of the hem from here to here, and mark it like every 12 inches along the skirt, and then draw one line all the way along the skirt just to mark, if you're using 6-inch tulle, 6 inches from the bottom of the skirt. If you're using a longer tulle or a shorter tulle, you can measure whatever the length is of the tulle you're using. Okay, now we're going to lay our petty skirt piece under the presser foot so that the needle is in line with this line that we just drew. Here's your hem over here. So you're going to take your 6-inch tulle and you're going to start about a 1/2 inch away from the edge, just so that we have enough to sew when we're sewing the zipper. And you're going to like forward and back stitch first. And then you're going to just pinch the tulle like so, and just kind of squish it under and sew a couple stitches, pinch a little bit more. There's really no right or wrong way to do this. You can make it to where the tulle is really full, or you can make it to where it's not quite as fluffy, but you can see how it's starting to just give a little bit more ruffle right there. So just keep pinching it. You're going to go right along this line right here. And just keep pinching the tulle and shoving it up to where you're sewing. Sorry, my tripod thing is not working with this view today, so I'm trying to do this one-handed. But the idea is to just keep pinching the tulle, sewing it down, and you just keep doing that along the bottom of the skirt where you marked it on this line. And you can see it's starting to puff up a little bit back here. And you're going to keep going all along the bottom of the skirt. And when you get to the end, make sure you stop a 1/2 inch away, just like you did at the beginning. And I'll show you what it looks like once I'm finished. Okay, so now that our tulle is attached to our skirt, you can see how it almost looks a little pleated along there. You can just mess with that. It's all just personal preference with how big or small you want it to be. I don't know if you can see how it's kind of all gathered in the skirt there. So now what we're gonna do is, just like the other skirt, we're gonna finish this edge with a serger or a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine, and then you're going to gather the top of the skirt. Okay, so just like in the skirt tutorial, we're going to add the waistband to the skirts now. I placed the petty underneath, right side up, it's gathered, and then I'm placing the main skirt piece that's gathered on top of it. And you can either baste them together, you can even gather them together if that's what you want to do. I just feel like the best results come with gathering them separately. And then you're just going to place the waistband right sides together with the skirt and sew along the bottom raw edges and attach it to the skirt, and you can top stitch when you're finished. Now when you go to add your zipper, just make sure that all of your edges are finished like it is in the tutorial, and you're going to treat the petty and the skirt edges as one piece. So you can either just baste them together before adding the zipper, or you can just add the zipper to the two layers. And then at the end, underneath, it will look something like this, like where your petty ends and where the skirt ends. So now all you have to do is hem it, folding over a half inch, and then sewing, and it should end up about 1 inch longer than the petty skirt. And you'll notice that when we added the netting, it doesn't come all the way down to the bottom of the petty skirt, and that's okay because we don't want our legs getting scratched from the tool or irritated by the tool. So after you hem, you're all done with your faux petty underneath. Once you're finished hemming, it's really important that you press all of your hems all the way around the skirt. Since it is on sort of an arc, you want to make sure that you press that so that they lay nice and flat. So for the before and after shot of the petty skirt, I couldn't take a before shot with the Halloween fabric because you have to sew the petty into the skirt, but I did put it side by side with my paneled skirt so you can see the difference. The next modification I'm going to show you is how to add horsehair braid to your hem. It doesn't matter what size braid that you use. This is a 2-inch that I got again on Amazon. You will find the link to this in the description. This horsehair braid comes in 50-yard increments, so it's always awesome to have these on hand. And they come with these little pins too. You can use 1 inch, 2 inch, it doesn't really matter. It will not be as full as the petty skirt, but it still does give it a nice look at the hem. Okay, so we're going to start with our horsehair braid hem. Now this skirt is written with a 1-inch hem allowance, so we're going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance when we sew on the horsehair braid. So if you want to shave off a 1/2 inch to account for that, you can go ahead and do that, but I'm just going to go ahead and just sew it on as is. The skirt will end up 1/2 inch like longer, but that's okay with me. But if you want to trim off so it ends up, you know, just 24 inches long, that's fine too. So what you're going to do is lay your skirt right side up, and you're going to place the horsehair braid along the hem edge, and we're going to pin it in place. Some people finish off this edge of the horsehair braid. I've never finished it. I just overlap it at the end, and nothing bad has ever happened to me. But if you want to go ahead and finish that off with just a small piece of fabric, like binding or bias tape, that's fine too. But I'm just going to pin this horsehair braid along the edge of the skirt. And we're going to do that all the way around. And when you get back to the edge, I just always overlap it by a 1/2 inch or 1 inch, somewhere along there, once you get all the way around. Okay, so now that our horsehair braid is pinned in place all the way around the skirt. We're going to sew a 1/2 inch away from the hem of the skirt, or the hem edge of the skirt, all the way around, attaching the horsehair braid to the skirt. Okay, so now that our horsehair braid is attached to the skirt, we're going to flip it down like this, away from the right side, flip it over so you can see the horsehair braid at the top here, and then you're going to flip it again, folding it towards the wrong side. And this is the most important step. You need to press this all the way around so that it lays nice and flat. Pressing this all the way around before you sew it will make sure that all of your hems lay nice and flat and there will be no puckering or wrinkling while you sew. Okay, now that everything is pressed, we can take it to the machine and we're gonna sew right along the edge of the braid all the way around the skirt. So when you flip this over, when you're finished, you'll have a 2-inch, what looks like a 2-inch hem. More pressing. As I mentioned in the skirt tutorial video, pressing is so important for the hem of this skirt. Make sure that you are pressing or seaming after every single step. It will just make your skirt lay so much nicer. Now let's talk about the types of garments that pair really, really well with the umbrella skirt. My personal favorite is a bodysuit, which I made specifically for this pattern today. You can also just pair it with a knotted up t-shirt, which I do that a lot with high-waisted patterns. Another option is a crop top. There are several G&G patterns that include a cropped version. The Daybreak Rash Guard is a good one. And also if you're looking for versatile necklines, the Rave shirt is an awesome pattern that has a lot of options in it as well. I will link those patterns in the description. But since this has such a retro vibe in the skirt, I really wanted to make a posh top into a crop top. So now I'm going to show you how to turn any fitted pattern into a crop top. Okay, so when measuring to make a regular top into a crop top, I always measure from my armpit down to where I want it to hit underneath the bust. And this one I want to make just a little bit shorter than normal, just because the waistband of the skirt comes up so high. I want there to be a little bit of midriff in between. So I measured down 5 inches on the front and the back, or well, the front and the back, and I'm gonna cut that line, and then that will be your new front piece or back piece and your new front piece. And you will continue with the pattern the exact same way as normal when you're constructing it. Okay, now that the top is sewn, we are going to calculate the band for the bottom of the crop top. I measured all the way around the bottom and came up with 32 inches. So I'm going to take that times 0.85 and my band is now cut across at 27.25 inches. You can also just take your underbust measurement and subtract an inch or two, however snug you want your band to be. It's up to you. Now we're going to fold the band in half widthwise like this and sew down this short side. So now we're going to fold the band wrong sides together up so it creates this skinny cuff all the way around. We're going to mark the bottom of the top into quarters and do the same thing on the band, making sure that one of your clips or pins is on the seam of the band. Now we're going to match up, slide this over the top like so, match up all 4 pins. I like to put the seam of the band on the back center of the top. And once you have that all pinned into place, you can sew all the way around, attaching the band to the shirt. And now your crop top is complete. So not only will this crop top hack work with top patterns, you can also chop off store-bought tees, store-bought tanks, and if you have a favorite dress bodice, just make the bodice and add a little band at the bottom. Maybe a G&G Crimson, Clover, Jawbreaker, and of course, Starstruck. I hope you loved our first annual Halloween hack video. Halloween is my favorite holiday, so I'm sure we'll have plenty more of these in the future. As always, make sure you're subscribed and give this video a thumbs up. Follow us on all of our social media, listed in the description. Also, make sure you're tagging us in all of your makes on social media. We love, love, love seeing customer makes. So I hope you found this video informative today. I can't wait to see all of the umbrella skirts start popping up online. Thank you for tuning in today, and I can't wait to see you next week. Bye.